Madmartigan. You know who he is. He's Val Kilmer, and Val Kilmer is Madmartigan. He's great. If you've seen Willow, which if you've clicked on this, I'm guessing you have, because why would you bother? I don't need to explain the plot to you because you've seen it. It's great. It's awesome. It's one of the greatest freaking fantasy movies that's ever been made. It's right up there, probably with, Lord of the Rings, at least, in my book. If I were to have a book, which I don't have a book. But if I did have a book, it would be in there. You got things like Lord of the Rings, you got Conan the Barbarian and Lady Hawk, things like that. But then there's Willow, which is damn good and doesn't get the kudos it deserves, you know what I mean? Just doesn't. And one of the heroes of that movie is Madmartigan. Val Kilmer, Madmartigan. I don't even know if Madmartigan has a name, first name, or if Martigan is his first name or his last name. Is it John Martigan, Alex Martigan, Bob Martigan, or is it Martigan Smith, Martigan Jones? I don't know. Nobody knows. He's just mad. Okay, it's a clever nickname. What's the deal with Madmartigan? Like, why did I want to talk about him? Although I'm not reviewing this. That's not what this is about. I don't really do reviews. I do explorations, not really deep ones, but something like that. Anyway, off the bat, I want to say that I'm aware that people will say that Willow is derivative and that Madmartigan is very much like Han Solo. Fine, that's fine. And Kale is like Darth Vader, Bavmorda is like the Emperor, and Willow is like Luke, and Shalindra is like Obi-Wan. Okay, fine, fair enough. Star Wars was derivative too, okay? It borrowed sources. They're archetypes, all right? This is just kind of the same archetype spun in a different world. So let's just take that off the table right now. Like, that's not really relevant. That's not what I'm here to talk about. What I wanted to talk about was Madmartigan and how freaking cool he is. But, as a hero, he's one of those reluctant heroes, right? He doesn't want to take the job right away, okay? He's selfish. He's a badass. He is a great swordsman. The ladies seem to like him, right? He's independent, right? He's a fighter. He's tough.
You are great.
But we don't get that right away. If you're going to this, if let's say if you went into this movie cold and if you had no exposure to any kind of pop culture references or anything like that, our first introduction to Madmartigan is about 30 minutes into the movie when they meet at the Daikini Crossroads. And first impressions, he's kind of a jerk. He's hanging there in the cage, the big bird cage, and he's hanging there. He wants out, so he's trying to manipulate all the Nelwyns to unlock him so he can get out. A little verbal jujitsu, right? But he's you get the impression right away that this guy is pretty unscrupulous, right? He's up to no good. He does get out, and on the condition that he will take care of the baby, because Willow and Migosh, they've traveled for, I don't know, a couple of days through the montage. It looked like a couple of days. Who knows? But they're tired. They want to go home. They miss their families, and under that condition of letting him go, he has to take care of the baby of Elora Danan. Migosh is a little bit more willing to trust than Willow is, but they kind of feel like they're out of options. And Willow suspects that it's probably up to no good. He doesn't believe him, but he goes along with Migosh and thinking that they don't have a choice. We have to trust this guy, even though we just met him. He lied to us at first. He tried to manipulate us, but what else can we do? There's no one else we can give the baby to. They give Elora Danan to Madmartigan, and even though he's shown to be untrustworthy, I believe in that moment that Madmartigan is going to take care of Elora Danan. I don't sense deception, at least not that part, but I get the feeling that in that moment, I don't think he's up to no good. I don't think he's trying to deceive them. I think Madmartigan is actually true to his word, and that he will take care of the baby. As long as he has the baby, he will. I mean, I'm guessing he's probably going to pass the baby off to someone that will be able to take care of the baby, but he's a man of his word. When he says he'll do something, he'll do it. I believe that. There's a moment just before Migosh and Willow give Elora Danan to Madmartigan that the army marches by, and lo and behold, well, just a coincidence, just a coincidence, Madmartigan runs into a long-lost friend of him, Eric, and they don't seem to like, I say friend kind of ironically, they don't really, they seem to have such a great rapport.
I'll be around long after you're dead! When I get out of here, I'm gonna cut your head off and stick it on a pig pole!
They don't seem to like each other very much. At least Eric doesn't think very highly of Madmartigan, and he is quite aware of his reputation of being selfish and being a liar. He doesn't believe him, thinks he's up to no good. And he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Eric is all about loyalty, he's all about commitment. Madmartigan is the complete opposite of that. But Madmartigan knows they're going into battle, and he says to Eric, "Give me a sword,
I'll win this war for you."
And I believe Madmartigan when he says that, when he says, "Give me a sword and I'll fight with you." He's not just saying that to get out, although he is saying it to get out. That's not entirely why. He's a fighter. He's a warrior. He feels that call of duty, like Eric does. So when he says that, he means it. Although, yeah, with the understanding that he will be set free, but there is that kind of spark of there's a job to be done in his eyes, in his voice. And this kind of thing, it's not written on the page. This kind of sensibility, it's not in the page. It's in Val Kilmer's tone of voice. It's in the expression on his face. It's in his eyes. That's the kind of thing an actor would bring to a character such as Madmartigan. Something that isn't written down per se is brought by the performance.
I give you my word of honor!
Just to solidify it one more time, the first impression of Madmartigan, he's selfish, he's condescending, he is concerned only as much as it involves him. It makes me wonder what kind of life Madmartigan has lived thus far. From what I can tell, not so much by the setup here during the first scene, but by the second scene, when we meet him in the tavern, right, where he's disguised as a woman. He's the kind of person that will say he doesn't want any friends, at least not any close ones. He doesn't want any kind of emotional attachments, because to him, they would feel like excess baggage. He doesn't need that. That's an anchor. He doesn't need that. But he does want it. He does have those feelings. When he's at that tavern, which, by the way, when he dresses up as a woman, he won't always resort to brute force. I think that's an important part of Madmartigan's philosophy, is that he does not immediately go for the sword. He will try to talk his way. He'll try to work his way out of the situation without violence. He doesn't go there. He doesn't go there immediately. He does when he has to. It's kind of a second resort. I wouldn't say last resort. Definitely not last resort. Maybe second or third resort. Then he'll grab the sword and fight for what he needs to, either for himself or, in this case, reluctantly, where he is dressed as the woman, he has the baby. Sorsha has arrived. He could very easily, in some way, give the baby over to Sorsha because he knows that's what she wants. That's what the Nockmaar soldiers want. But he doesn't. He feels that protective instinct and pushes her away, and ends up giving himself away as a result.
Now, honey.
Not a woman!
Easy.
Gentlemen, not a woman! Meet Lug.
And then flees with the baby, protecting the baby, and fights off the soldiers, and ends up saving her and Willow. He does not like the fact that he had to do that, though. He tries to push Willow away, but he agrees to let Willow follow him, but he doesn't want to do it. Although he kind of does, we know he kind of does, but he doesn't want to. Like I said, it's excess baggage. He doesn't need this. He doesn't need this in his life. It's too heavy. It weighs down a man, right? He's too selfish. He's got to look out for himself. He's his number one priority. And it's worked for him so far. It's kept him alive. But, there are advantages to having family, to having friends, to having that closeness. But for him, it's too much of a risk. That's too much of a risk. It's things that you can't control. And when it's just himself involved, he can control that just fine. Not that there's anything wrong with being like a loner, independent. There's nothing wrong with that at all. There's a lot of good things about Madmartigan's lifestyle, about his philosophy. He is completely dependent upon no one. He will get the job done. He can only depend and rely on himself, and that's made him very self-reliant and cunning. But, even so, there is room for love, for friendship. And that's what his journey is about. That's what Madmartigan's journey is all about, is about being able to have those close ties, that emotional connection, while still remaining Madmartigan, while still not completely losing yourself. He eventually does get there. It's not a smooth road. I think he is reluctant to show any sensitivity, and maybe because he knows it'll come off as weakness, and although he does possess those feelings, he represses them because it's too much of a risk. He can't afford that. There is weakness when you let down that guard, when you let down that wall. You become vulnerable, and Madmartigan is just not willing to do that. Even after he has taken Willow to the lake and they've gone their separate ways, and you think, okay, well, their partnership is dissolved. Well, Nockmaar catches up with Madmartigan, and they find Willow as a result. And you think maybe Madmartigan turned him in? Like maybe he told Kale and Sorsha where to find Willow? No, he didn't. I think that action goes to show more than words the kind of person that he is on the inside. As he starts to form that bond, that partnership, that friendship with Willow, although it's very reluctant, and he still talks down to him for a little while. It starts to alter him a little bit, and you see that protective sensibility go towards Willow as well, as another small moment where Madmartigan and Willow have been captured by Sorsha and Kale and the Nockmaar soldiers, and they're being taken to the Nockmaar camp, and they're being, they're in chains, and they're walking behind the caravan. And as Sorsha's coming up, Madmartigan very quickly switches places with Willow, so he's next to her. It's a small little thing. It's not with words. It's just with a small action where he throws himself in front of Willow to protect him, and they don't bring much attention to it. It's in a wide shot or a medium shot, and it's just goes to show how it's starting to affect him and change him a little bit, and starting to reveal this other part of him. Like there is a caring sensibility to him.
What are they gonna do to her?
But when they are in the cage inside the Nockmaar camp, and the brownies are, they're trying to get them out of the cage, and Madmartigan takes the brownie's spear and he's picking at the lock. This is when they throw the love dust at him, and at that point the love dust goes up his nose, and he unlocks the lock with the brownie's spear. And I never really thought too much about the symbolism that could hold, because that's why I said I felt tense. I was like, wait a second. It's like he was unlocked when the cage was unlocked. Like his heart was unlocked, right? Fully. Right when that happened. When he goes and spouts poetry to Sorsha, is it just the potion? Or is it something that was there the whole time? Like, was it finally let out? Like that passion within him? Because he was attracted to her, obviously, from the beginning. But with that love potion, all those words of love and that sense of passion and that sense of, my love is as a fever, oh, how I compare thee to a summer's day. All that comes out, right? So you think, like, was it there the whole time, or was it just brought out by the potion? I think that it was there the whole time. The potion just unlocked that part of his heart. Although he's questioning it afterwards, I just didn't feel like myself. And true, he didn't, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't himself. I think he just wasn't used to it, really. I think he was exposed to a part of his subconscious, to a part of his heart that he had been dismissing to keep himself alive all these years. And then he finally got to experience love and passion, and it was alien to him. Yeah, of course. But, I think, it's when they get to Tyrus Lean that Madmartigan's true form, his complete form has been let out. He was criticized by Eric, for being a worthless thief. And Willow doesn't believe it. Madmartigan doesn't want anyone else to believe it. But Eric, I think, serves as Madmartigan's kind of subconscious, his own self-criticism, in that he thinks, is that all I am? Am I just a thief? Am I no good? Am I not? Who do I live for? Who do I fight for? Eric fights for Galadorn, right? He has a purpose. But who does Madmartigan fight for? And in that moment, he says, I serve the Nelwyn, right? He has a purpose. He has something to fight for. And I think that's something all men need. They need that purpose. They need that drive. They need something beyond themselves. And to value someone beyond themselves, to be able to sacrifice their own well-being for someone else. And once he's able to commit to that, that's when he becomes fully rounded. And that's when he's unstoppable. He is willing to fight the Nockmaar army by himself at Tyrus Lean. I mean, it's insane. He's willing to go the mile and more so. He's willing to go not 500 miles, but 2,000, times affinity, and just to fight for the cause for Willow and Allura. He's willing to do that. And that gives him strength like he never would have imagined. And that strength carries him all the way till the end. He very easily dispatches Kale at that point. Not very easily, but he kills him fairly easily, comparatively a big baddie, Kale has been made out to be at this point. He kind of dispatches him pretty quickly. Because, Val Kilmer has been, Madmartigan has been completely transformed at that point. There's no stopping him. And the movie ends, he has taken the castle of Tyrus Lean. He and Sorsha are going to raise Allura in there. And he looks like $1 million, I think you can see that full transformation, that whole arc in his goodbye to Willow. It's a look that lasts a few seconds, but it's kind of like, hey, we made it. Thank you. We did it. Look, like you did that for me. I did that for you, It's like, hey, good job. Good job, man. It's a look of respect. It's a look of admiration. It's a look of gratitude. As a character, I love Madmartigan. He's one of my favorite heroes. I think he demonstrates that courage, self-reliance that any man would want to have, I know we don't live in a fantasy world with dragons and wizards and whatnot, but just in the world where you're able to fight for something and you're able to put aside your own life, your own well-being for that cause. No matter what the cause is, that's what brings out the best in you. So in the end, the philosophy of Madmartigan is that you can be courageous, you can be cunning, you can be witty, you can be a badass, but you need to have something to fight for. You have to have a cause, you have to have that purpose, or else you will be just as Madmartigan was at the beginning of that movie. You'll turn out to be self-involved, and you won't give a damn about anyone but yourself. You got to be able to put aside your well-being for a greater purpose. That's the philosophy of Madmartigan. Well, that was it for this different kind of segment. I hope you enjoyed it. If not, hey, you can let me know that too, I guess. Well, until next time, I'm Adam Lee with The Real Life. Thanks for watching.